Yeah.
Have you been able to trace where he is?
Well, good evening to the viewers once again. Our head of mobilization chairman, Nyanzi Fred Sentamu, as you know, was abducted, and up to now, we don't know where he is. He was actually abducted, and people were able to record some bit of footage, although there was a lot of violence and there was some shootings. But you could see that there was a drone and people in civilian clothes holding guns. But also there was, at the scene, a police van which was trying to scare away the people. So it was very, very surprising and ridiculous to hear the police claiming not to know where he is. But it was not only Chairman Nyanzi was taken away, as the law presented in Parliament today. We have 7 people, leaders and activists, who are confirmed as missing. But this evening, just before I stepped into the studio, 2 of our election management officials, especially after exposing them, and because the car which they had when they were abducted from Mpigi had a tracker unknown to these DIS or CMI fellows. And so when they checked today, they saw that, yesterday and the other day, they saw that the car was parked at Mbuya Hill at CMI. So after exposing that, this evening they drove 2 of them to Chileka, where they were released. And we just spoke with them. They are so much intimidated. They told them, do not speak to the press. They did all manner of things to them. They were interrogating them. What is Bobby Wine's next plan? What is his plan B? The same things they always ask these people. Who funds him? And those kinds of things. So 2 of the people that we've been looking for have just gotten home right now, just a few minutes back. So we condemn this impunity. As of now, we don't know where Chairman Nyanzi is. We don't know where other 2 male officials of the Election Management Committee are. 2 activists, one called Sharif, another called Chinobe, who was picked up from Nansana. We don't know where they are up to now, but all of them were picked up by security operatives moving in drones.
Dr. Chris Baryomonsi, you visited Dr. Besigye over the weekend and made some comments. I've seen some exchanges between yourself and Engineer Winnie Byanyima, who's the wife to Dr. Kiiza Besigye. Could you tell us what state you found him in? A few people saw him yesterday when he appeared in court for those brief minutes. What is his state? What kind of discussion did you have with him, if at all? And Elias Lukwago says you're holding a hot potato as government over the Besigye matter.
No, thank you very much. And Elias Lukwago said he doesn't want to hear me say anything, so he can switch off his TV now as I speak. Yes, I visited Dr. Kiiza Besigye in Luzira on Sunday in the afternoon around 4 p.m. And like I commented, he was weak, but not in a critical condition. And there are many charlatans who have started, you are lying, and they have never been to medical school, because that was a professional comment that I made. And of course the weakness was occasioned by his failure to eat, to take meals. We had a discussion with his personal doctors and the prison authorities, and his doctors had wanted to take him for medical tests. The prison authorities were insisting on taking him to government facilities, but I advised that no, he can go to a clinic of his choice. And that's how he was taken to a clinic in Bugorobi. And I know the examinations which were done, I constrain myself from saying this on TV, but I can say he didn't have a material illness as such. So the weakness that you see, the frail situation, is largely because of not eating. And I think today is day 8 of his hunger strike. Of course, even you, if you don't eat, after 2, 3, 4 days, you start getting weak, because there are metabolic and chemical changes which occur in your body. If you had time, I will tell you the science. And he's still... This is a 2-hour show. It's not elastic.
Go ahead.
So I think from the information that I have...
Gentlemen, can we listen to Dr. Baryomonsi?
This is the indiscipline which is a problem with you in opposition. You will have your time.
But Chris, I visited you when you were arrested. Now you are
That's an anthem.
Honorable sir, would you please allow Dr. Wayomo to make a
Then
statement?
You always want to say he visited me.
Then I didn't visit him when Museveni arrested him. I
So-
don't want to visit him.
From the information that I have,
You also went.
he is still,
I didn't.
from the information I have,
So please.
can you stop with these recorders? The information I have, I think he continues with the hunger strike, and today is day 8, and every day that goes by, he gets weaker and weaker.
The big question is that you as a government spokesperson,
Yes.
why are you still holding on to Besigye 3 weeks after the Supreme Court said you can't continue with the trial
What
in the
the-
military court?
What the Supreme
what's going
Court ruled was stop the proceedings of all the civilians in the court martial and transfer these cases to the civil courts of competent jurisdiction. And I think yesterday there was a case in court where Kiiza Besigye was produced in court, and there were arguments. Kiiza Besigye's lawyers were arguing that he should have been released because his warrant of arrest or remand expired. And the lawyers, on the other hand, were saying no, the Supreme Court didn't order for a release. It said transfer, and it didn't give a timeline how long you take to transfer. So they were arguing that the mere fact that Supreme Court said transfer, it acknowledged that there are charges. It didn't drop those charges, but rather it ordered transfer, and the process of transfer has been going on. And the Attorney General, immediately after the judgment, I think started the process, but I dare say, once again, that the lawyers involved, I think, delayed to extract the decree, because from the records we have, the decree was extracted and transmitted on the 14th, which was on Friday. But fast forward, I think the files have now been transferred from the court martial to the judiciary. And I think Kiiza Besigye's file and the co-accused, I think their files went yesterday. So right now, the DPP and the judiciary are perusing the files, and most likely next week, Kiiza Besigye will be appearing in the Chief Magistrate's Court. That's the information that I have. So we are waiting for the decision of the judge as per yesterday's hearing, because he said he will give his judgment on notice, meaning anytime he can rule, or if Kiiza Besigye appears in court, most likely next week, then his lawyers can ask for bail. You see, people were putting pressure on us in Chigezi. You raised this matter before the president. And I was telling them, Kiiza Besigye is not appearing before the president. He's appearing in the courts of law. And the only way he can get out of prison is through a court order. Yes, the law does not allow the president to pardon someone on remand. Let me say, the lawyer, I think the president can only pardon somebody who has been convicted.
Yes, Dr. Wayomo, I have 2 lawyers on the panel. That's David Leus Rwongoya and Elias Lukwago.
Yes.
The Supreme Court decision emerged out of a petition to which Dr. Kiiza Besigye and the others detained, the others in prison were not party.
Yes.
I have been listening to the arguments around extracting an order. My understanding is that the Supreme Court gave an instruction, gave a directive on what should happen. The person who petitioned court was Michael Kabaziguruka.
Yes.
He's not in any prison facility. He's a free man out there. So the beneficiaries and the lawyers who should have extracted that court order certainly cannot have been Dr. Besigye's lawyers.
No, but they should have 50 interest because
interpretation.
they were beneficiaries of that court judgment, because they had a prisoner who is remanded and who would immediately benefit from that. While yes, the court order should have been pursued directly by Kabaziguruka's lawyers, but I don't think it was proper for them to go to bed and sleep when they know.
All that is also not true. Let me give information, and Lord Mayor will speak to it. They actually drafted this decree a long time ago, and it stayed on the Attorney General's desk for such a long time, and he was not signing it. So that's one of the problems. But also, the Supreme Court, the wording of their order was very clear that there was a word immediately. And once a decision of the Supreme Court is given, or any other court, it starts operating immediately. You don't even need to first extract this decree and all these semantics they are in.
And you see, this matter when it came to Parliament, I asked the government people, because the Attorney General told the Parliament that the court-martial has stopped immediately. I asked him, so this court-martial to hold the trials was moved by which decree?
Yeah.
Chris Bayomunsi, you look bad.
No, maybe to you.
To anyone sensible.
No.
It doesn't have to be limited
Who
to
told you
me.
you are sensible?
I said to anyone
You say the
sensible.
problem for you is
You see,
you think you are sensible.
This
and
Chris
intelligent. You say what you
Bayomunsi,
want to say.
when he was at Ginger Road, he arrested.
Mm.
Can we deal with the Besigye?
No, I am
Yes.
answering.
Yes.
And I didn't want to go back
by
to,
the way to speak. What is your problem?
because it is very painful to him.
To who?
They were denied him even basic things like sandals, and they told him it is Museveni who has ordered so. That's why immediately after there, you went to see Museveni in Rwakitura.
So?
So you were in prison on Museveni's orders. You are now asking, Besigye is not there, we said Museveni.
So how is it
It
related?
is related.
How?
You see, the refusal to implement the Supreme Court decision is not a decision of cabinet. It's not his decision. It is a decision.
The Supreme Court has not been implemented.
What has been implemented?
I don't know what you're asking.
What decision of the Supreme Court has not been
You see,
implemented?
once the Supreme Court said, first annulled the sections of the APDF Act that established the General Court Martial, and the General Court Martial is no longer there. But that General Court Martial was the one that had remanded the Besigye. So the remand warrant expired.
That's not
You
true.
don't have to be a lawyer.
No.
So the marshal is there.
Say it is there.
I think
So Besigye is Ruzira on which remand.
Charles,
Can we hear?
this
Yes.
mob action needs to stop. I think that first of all, the opposition people are trying to blackmail the government by whipping public sentiment on a serious legal matter. Guys, let us have one discussion. The Supreme
Who
Court
told you
rules.
your turn?
Hold it. Hold it.
The Supreme Court's judgment, the Supreme Court's judgment was that the trial of civilians should not happen in the General Court Martial. It should happen.
Hold it.
Nullification of the section that establishes the court martial.
Listen,
Hold it.
the
We'll pull down.
Supreme Court's
That was the
judgment.
decision.
We'll pull
So
down the
you can see he's
decision.
heckling. This is the
Yes,
problem.
please, allow one
You
person.
as authorized you to speak. You also have.
He is the one who has authorized me.
Honorable Semuju.
Yes.
Yes. Let's be fair. You jumped
No,
in.
but
No, you jumped in.
Charles, we know the kind of people we are dealing with.
Andrew, go ahead.
So here is the issue. The Supreme Court's judgment was very clear. It said civilians should not be tried in the court martial. The case should be transferred to the High Court. It did not say that the charges against Besigye are illegitimate or illegal. It's not in the judgment. Therefore, what has to happen now is to transfer the case to the court. It did not say Besigye should be released. It did not imply that Besigye should be released. But let me guys tell you, you see for me, the opposition, as you can clearly see, and Besigye supporters, try to run from the substantive issues of this case and hide behind the emotions. One, if Besigye is in bad health, as a result of what Dr. President has said, him going on hunger strike, if Besigye is trying to commit suicide, it is his right to do so, in my view. He can take his own life. But he cannot use hunger strike to blackmail government to release him. Besigye is arrested in a meeting where he was planning to overthrow the government violently, in which case thousands of Ugandans would have died. Two, in that same meeting,
That's an assumption, Andrew.
well, at least we all have the audios. And these audios, I told you last time I was
Audios
here.
supplied by your boss,
Those audios, I
Yes.
sent them to a friend of mine at Microsoft and two other friends at Apple, and they told me two
You
things.
got them as who, Andrew?
Well, as
got them as who?
any person,
And it's where you have a
so do you see?
So
so
you Mwenda, you got audio as who?
So
And
do you realize the trick? He's
So who
running
is
away.
persecuting Besigye?
But can you stop interrupting so that we can
No,
have a
I'm
debate?
just shocked that you say I have the audio.
If
Mwenda has the
we keep
audio
behaving
as
like this,
Honorable
as
Semuju,
who?
please hold
Can't
it.
you first
You
listen
have
to
the time to
others
speak.
so that we can have a
Let's
civilized
have one
debate?
person speak at a time.
Let us have a public debate.
You cannot have a serious
You see,
debate
it
when
does
you are
not
debating
matter how I
people.
got them.
So Mwenda, it does.
It doesn't
it
matter how I
does.
got them. Who told
Honorable
me that?
Semuju,
See,
could you kindly respect the show?
But
Allow.
Semuju, can you stop
Please.
disrupting? You
Hold-
will have your chance to speak.
hold your
Let me
time.
finish
No, I am
my
just
point of
asking
view.
a legitimate question. So you have these videos as
Honorable
who?
Semuju, please allow members to
So you
contribute.
can clearly
You have
see.
your time to speak.
It does not matter. You see, this is the issue I
And
told them.
conclude your thought.
You see,
in the case,
the abuse,
in the case,
the abuse
guys,
of the state
but Charles,
President
can't you
Mwenda.
control this
One
person?
day you are in a government chopper, you are in a military uniform, they are picking children from the
Today
street
was,
that they are putting on a
Simon
bed,
Wafo,
and you don't see any problem with that, and then you want to civilize
Honorable
the debate.
Semuju, I am going to ask that.
Okay, so Besigye was
Allow-
planning to murder Museveni.
You are in a government chopper. So where are you
going?
going to murder in a government
Let
chopper?
me ask you this.
Are you a soldier?
Is Museveni,
Honorable Semuju, please hold
was
it.
Besigye in that meeting where he was planning to murder
Andrew,
Museveni in
Andrew,
cold blood?
let me
No,
put
guys,
some
because
questions to
these
you.
people of the opposition are trying to keep up sentiment.
Hold it, Andrew.
Let me make the point. Besigye was in a meeting planning to kill Museveni in cold blood. Did he subject Museveni to due process? In fact, I think
Andrew,
Museveni
Andrew,
is a very humane person. Why?
can I-
Because Museveni could have kidnapped or abducted him from Nairobi, killed him from there, and would never have been seen. If it was me trying to kill me, I have no.
Andrew.
Without following due process, why should I follow
Andrew,
due process?
Andrew, hold it.
Hold a
Hold it,
second,
hold it,
because
hold
he
it.
wants a shouting match.
No, no,
We
no.
can have a shouting match.
We can, when?
Yes, we can. We can. So you want your man to kill Museveni,
you
and
have-
Museveni should sit as
You
the
have
leader.
been abusing authority, Mwenda. You are in a chopper. You are in military uniform.
So
and then
what-
Museveni
what is
kidnaps
that?
children from
How
street
is that
and they are
related?
charged in
How
courts
is
of
that
law
related
that
to
they are
this
putting on a
case?
beret.
How is that
They
related
are
to
about
this
abuse
case?
of authority.
In
That's what you're
every,
talking
in every
about.
case you come, you are always involved in the petty arguments like you are attacking him, that he was arrested, when you were kidnapped. That's all that you do.
I am talking
Your
about
lack of
you.
intellectual quality
I am-
is not my
I am
problem.
talking about
What you need to
you
do,
in a
maybe
government
go back to
chopper,
school or to
in
your
a
mother
gov-
and
in a
be
government
educated.
uniform.
Be educated how to
You
be a
are
part of those who are
Coming
here
here
bringing up sentiment and sounding
Honorable
stupid doesn't
Semuju.
make anything.
Honorable
You get
Semuju.
it?
So where did you get-
You
where
have
did
come
you
and
get
had
it?
this debate. You a shouting match.
That's
You
what
want a
you
shouting
want.
match, then you can have
Go
it.
ahead. No
Okay,
problem.
and I'm very good at
Nobody has
it.
stopped
So
you.
I am going
So
to
you
tell
can
you,
shout.
a man Besigye was plotting to murder Museveni. Was he using due process in that process?
Andrew, can I-
Was he subjecting Museveni to a court when he discusses that he wants to shoot down his
Andrew, can I-
Museveni is a human being. Museveni has if I were in Museveni's shoes, I would not even have that man alive.
Okay.
Because he does not believe in due process. There is a process of removing the government. He does not respect it.
So
there is a process.
which process
of trying
did Museveni
Museveni.
follow to remove the government?
So
Which process
it
did he
doesn't
follow?
matter. Museveni
He
succeeded.
does.
Treason is only treason
So
when you
which
don't
process
succeed.
did Museveni
Should
follow
you
when he
not-
was removing a government
Besigye
here?
did not succeed. Besigye did not
Okay.
succeed. Therefore, he's subject to the law which he has violated. Museveni's
gentlemen,
greatness is that he
gentlemen.
succeed. Besigye has failed. Here is the
Gentlemen.
point. Listen,
Hold
you are
it,
not going
Andrew.
to give this man
Andrew,
whatever
hold
trying
it.
to run roughshod
Yes.
over everybody.
No, hold it.
We shall, why are
Can
you?
I
Why
run
are
the
you
show?
and Besigye not discussing the substantive case of what Besigye was plotting? Why are you saying, how did you get this evidence? Does it matter? Assuming I killed somebody and you stole the evidence or you bought it,
Andrew.
does it matter how you got the evidence?
Andrew.
The evidence is that the man was involved in a meeting to unleash violence in this country and kill the president of the country.
Can we put-
He was planning cold-blooded murder.
Can we put some questions
Listen,
to you,
there is
Andrew?
no way
Wait a moment.
Besigye can claim that somehow his rights have been violated when he was planning to violate the
Okay,
rights of others.
thank you. You've made your argument. Andrew, can we put some questions to you?
Yes.
Under the presumption of innocence, all the arguments you've just made are supposed to be proved in a court of law.
Yes.
That process hasn't happened yet.
It is under
So you're making,
that process.
you are
that
making
process-
conclusions.
That process.
Hold a moment. You're making conclusions on a matter that is before court, accusing Besigye of the many things you're accusing him of, without proof.
I have proof of audios of Besigye plotting murder.
Law, you're not a court of law.
Exactly. Okay.
That's why we are
Why
saying-
are there prisons and why is there remand?
Listen.
Why is there? I want to ask you a question and you answer it. Every time somebody commits murder, They are remanded in court. I mean, they are remanded by court and they are taken to jail.
And right
Can I-
now, there's no.
Does that mean that the presumption of
report
innocence is
has
taken away? But for me,
can I
even that
correct
is irrelevant because these people
So
are
you
being
can see-
political. For me, the question is, when Besigye was brought in to kill Museveni, what due process was he
Can I
subjected Museveni
correct
to?
you? When Besigye was
Well, answer me.
allegedly,
You think Museveni is not a human being?
allegedly plotting to kill Museveni,
I cannot
when
say
someone
allegedly.
is suspected of
I
having committed
have
murder,
a confirmation of Besigye's voice. I am not the court can follow its own process. I'm not here to argue as a judge. I'm here to argue as a person who got evidence of Besigye's voice in a meeting planning to kill Museveni in cold blood. You cannot say that's a very simple
let me
thing.
let me ask
And
you
let me
one
tell you
question.
something. Just 1 second. I think Museveni, your way, trust me, I will be killed in defense of you on this issue. I think you're a very nice human man. Because a man who was planning to kill you, you abduct him from Nairobi and bring him before competent courts. What would Idi Amin have done? Or any other person for that matter? Did the Americans take Bin Laden to a court of law? Besigye was planning terrorism. So he could even have been killed in that meeting. So for him to begin playing this stance of not eating in a prison and you coming and making noise and defending a cold-blooded murderer, a person who was planning cold-blooded murder, I find it very demeaning and disgusting.
Let's listen, if you could, yes, Ofono Opondo, and then we'll bring in Councillor Elias Lukwago.
Well, I hope we shall have a calmer debate after that. But as you
I am so happy to shut the door, because you-
as you
because
please.
you-
Let us see
I-
how
I-
actually you have it.
But you are defending a man who was trying to kill somebody.
We are telling you to
without
follow
due
due process.
process.
We are saying there should be due process.